Hi Tubies, here's Alexandra again, and welcome to part 3 of our How to Paint the Mighty Lord of Khorne. Last time we have painted the armor and made all the gold parts and all the silver and all that kind of stuff. So now let's finish this bad boy. We have still his cloak and his armor left off, and the first thing we are going to do is paint the skulls here at his feet and his skull mask. And for that we quickly prime them in a scrap brown. So let's get rid of that. A little bit of palette. So, and then simply covering all the skulls with that color. It's also quite easy to achieve, and nothing I should be filming too long here, so you get the point. If it is not covering 100%, just make a small layer, a thin layer, and go over it a second time, and that way you can get it to cover nice. Yeah, and you hear my cat is also approving of that, and well, I'll finish up this stage and be right back. Okay, there I'm back. The skulls are now primed, and now we take off with a 50-50 mix out of Screaming Skull and Scarlet Brown. Just some on the palette. Give it a good mix. Adjusting the amount of paint on a paper towel, and then we start painting. First I will cover all the main and big areas while there's still much paint on the brush, so I won't obscure other details. So going around and around here, hopefully keeping things in focus here. So, and now I'm working myself down to the teeth areas and the nose. Oh, there a bubble appeared, but never mind. So, also we will cover here the skull at his face. Okay, and also I will slightly hit the skulls here around his belly, because as you can see there are coming skulls out of his belly, and he is slightly turning into a Khorne. So now I will add another drop of the Screaming Skull. Again hitting the main high areas, obviously leaving a little bit of the old color behind. gently going over and basically letting the brush itself doing the work for me. So, just like that. So, gently going over it. There's a big kid here. Don't want that. Okie dokie. Now for his skull plate. And his belly skulls. There we go. In the end, we want to have the skulls be brighter than his own skin tone, so it have a good contrast to his skin. So now we will take pure Screaming Skull. Again up here, more towards the front. And now we take some white paint and make a good 50-50 mix with the Screaming Skull. And this will be our final highlight. Obviously I'm taking here the brown approach for the skulls. If you want, you could totally do the same thing with just a base layer of gray and then work upwards from that. That will obviously make some grayish looking bone parts. Could totally go for that, or you could go the black route, make it even darker. It's basically personal taste, what you think fits better. I think for the overall look, he is a very warm colored figure, so it's best for him to have also the base work in warm colors done. And that's why I chose brown for this instead. Okay, that's basically all the skull parts done. And now we will tackle along with this cloak. I will prime the cloak with Ashing Grey and be back when the cloak is primed. So, see you in a second. Okay, the cape is primed. Also this little rocks here and the cape part on this side. And now the time has come to finally build him together. And for that we need a knife to quickly scratch away the color at some of the connection points. Like here, for example. There a little bit. You don't need much connection points in this manner, but some are mandatory, otherwise you will glue color itself together and that won't hold good. So here obviously these two connection parts, there. Okay. I won't apply glue to the cloak part of this here or at this side, because there we will paint soon, and so I will spare those. So, and now he should be ready to be glued together. So, we will first start with this bit, placing it on. There we go. And then we will apply the glue. By the way, I'm using Revell Contactor Professional for that. It's a really nice plastic glue. So, also a little bit here, there, and in this hole there. Placing those parts together. Pressing it firmly on. So, this needs to sit now a little while until we can continue with the paint job, until it is completely glued together. But with the magic of internet, I will be right back in a second. So tubies, he is nice and snug now together, but we have now here a seam line, and in order to cover that, we just take color. So I will again start with some gold. And simply filling the gap with this color. Quite easy to achieve and yet effective. So, when this is dry, I will go over it with a little bit of chainmail again to highlight it again, and then the gap should be not so prominent visible again. Also, you can build up with multiple layers to make it even more smooth. In the transition, same applies here for this gap here on the cape. We will fill that quickly. Oops. With our gray. So, again, a little bit on the palette. And then just a heavy coat of unthinned color. obviously even that out towards the lower parts so that you don't notice it. But in the end it should be not so prominent visible like now. So I will leave that to dry and make it maybe 2 or 3 times again until it is nicely covered. Be right back. So here the gaps are seemingly closed now. That's good. And I've also repainted his Khorne symbol here completely in gold. I had made several mistakes and I wasn't satisfied with it, so I will repaint that. But in order to paint miniatures, when you have things that have a longer drying time, then you should schedule them while you're not painting. So, for example, I'm going to bed in a few minutes, but well, I could now simply glue him on his final base. I have placed him here on a square base just for painting reasons, but now's the time to remove him from that, to free him from his square base prism, and we're simply cutting off now the edges. Just like we did before with his fleshhound. So, quickly removing that. Be careful with it to not clip off anything from his from himself. So, whoops, that flew off somewhere through my room, but well, doesn't matter. So also here we have little rough stuff. We will quickly sand that off with a little file. Make it nice and flat. Okay, that should be enough. Okay, and now we can place it now here on his base and glue it on. Like before, I use my trusty plastic glue for that. Just give it a good squeeze down here. Also, I will add 2 drops here to the collar where his chain is going to be, and I will press that down a little bit. Well, I will do that off camera, but you get the point. He is now then glued to the base. Be right back for the next step. So the base should be now dry, and now it's time to give it a coat of sand, and for that we use our trusty white glue, or lime in German. So just take a trusty old bristled brush, and with that we will cover the base, but we won't do it in one full sweep. With that big of a base, we will do this in little chunks. So at first I will use this quarter of the base. Just like that. And then use your little sandbox and a spoon. Remove all the cat hair. Sweep along the edge like that. And then we continue with another chunk. Like here, for example. So. I know it's a little bit quiet while I'm concentrating here on that. I'm sorry for that. Also, to fit the seam line here, just overlap a little bit with the glue. Just like that. Let me turn that quickly. Add the rest here back at this baseline. And there we go. I think that's enough. Again, take your base, your spoon, and sand it. I get several requests what kind of sand I'm using. Well, this is a mixture out of basic playground sand, birdcage sand, and some decorative gravel I found in a local store. So this will give you overall a nice sand variation with several different grains, and it will provide your miniatures with a really nice texture on your pieces. So if you have chunks like that left over, just paint them like that. And dip your miniature again. To get rid of such stuff. So I will finish the base, the last part now, off camera, and I'll be back in a second. So now that the sand is dry, we can cover it with a wash. Nuln oil plus old brush, and giving it a nice coat. And while we're on it, we can also give all the metal parts quickly a run through with a wash. To give it a nice shading. Here, this little little parts here, the chainmail here and there, the chain to the dog. Yeah, and then continuing with the wash on the base. Just like that. So I will finish that and let that dry and be right back. So tubies, after a real quick drying time of only 1.5 weeks, might notice I really need to paint more often. We can continue with the paint job. The sand is dry now, obviously, and well, we will now start to highlight his cape. So we take our Eschine Grey, putting some on a palette, and then we take Vallejo Model Color Stone Grey, or if you don't have that, you can also use Screaming Skull from Games Workshop. And we will add a little bit. Also add some water, 1 drop. Clean your brush. Then you take the color on the brush, like always, and then we start to highlight the upper areas. If it doesn't cover 100%, that doesn't matter. We will go over it a few more times. So leave obviously the recesses in dark. So we get a nice color transition. So this line here we will later paint in red. But for now we will concentrate on the grays. I really wanted to give him a good contrast to his overall miniature. Yes, we could have painted this cloak in black or in red, but that wouldn't have looked so good, because he's overall it's a pretty dark miniature, and you need something to break that up a little bit. So okay, we are almost done here at this side. A little bit more. So, then also a little bit here in the back area. I will now mix the rest of the gray together here to give it a little bit of darker tone than the outside. Okay, so yeah, this side can be in the normal gray. And now we will apply another bigger drop of the stone gray and brighten up the color even more. And now we will add more water. So let's have a look. That's a little bit too bright for this step, so we will add a little bit more of the darker gray. Okay, that's okay. So with that we will highlight now and obviously leave a little line of the old color behind. And if you hear a slight snoring in the back, this is just my cat. She's sleeping right now. So always paint in the same direction when you're painting a cloak like this. Otherwise your brush strokes will look strange. Easy peasy. So some people say in order to paint well you need talent in order to learn it. What I can say, over the years I have never seen anyone who couldn't learn to paint a miniature. What is talent anyways? Well, in my opinion, talent is just something that gives you a slight edge over someone who hasn't talent. But overall, it isn't important, because you can learn everything. If you just right now want to learn another language, you can start to learn another language. It is absolutely possible to learn another language in, let's say, 6 months. And not just, for example, school English or school French or Japanese or whatever. No, fluid. There are some certain tricks to learn a language or even painting rather quickly. So now we'll add a little bit more of the stone gray. We're almost at the point where we are at pure stone gray. Another drop of water. The water makes the color more smooth, you know? So you will see the transition less and less. So, in order, for example, to learn another language, how to achieve that? Well, it is rather easy. You start with some basic vocabulary. There are lists out there for some of the most basic words you need in order to communicate. For example, if you know 1000 words, you can basically understand 50% of all the conversations. If you know 3000 words, you will understand 70% of all the conversations. And up to 9000 words, you will then understand 80%, and this goes slower and slower up. So at first, just simply learn some basic words, and then what you do is learn with your subconscious. How to achieve that? Well, for example, I learned English in school and I had a 5 minus. This is, well, almost the baddest grade you could get. It's in English maybe an F. So, how did I learn? I just had my basic knowledge of English, some words, and then I started watching movies in English instead of German, without subtitle. And don't try to translate every word you hear. Just try to have a basic understanding of what is talked about in this current situation. So, for example, if you're watching a child's movie, for example, like Toy Story or any Disney movie or whatever, what have you, you can watch the scenes, and then you can get a basic understanding of the situation, what is going on. And when you have then a basic knowledge of some words, you can start to understand the stuff what they are talking about, and your subconscious is filling in the blanks. So at first you will understand very, very little, but if you continue to do that, then you will start to understand the whole sentence, and your subconscious will then teach you the words, and out of a sudden you know the language. And then you can even start to talk in this language. Sure, your grammar is then not 100%. I know I also make mistakes here and there, Yeah, mistakes were made. But overall, I think you all can understand me quite clear, don't you? So, and same applies for painting. You're painting and painting. You learn some simple basic techniques, like for example, washing, highlighting, applying paint, thinning your paints, and so on. And then you have the need to paint your army, and you start applying those techniques to the models that you see fit. And then one day you have some techniques mastered, and then you can pick up any miniature and start painting them without hesitation. So often people ask me, how do I get my color schemes, how do I know which color to use, and they want specific recipes for the miniature painting. But when you have learned how to paint, then you simply grab the color that you see fit. Same applies for mixing paints and thinning paints. I always get questions in my inboxes. How much water do I put in there? This is not a question I can generally answer, because it varies. Sometimes I do 1 drop, sometimes 2, sometimes 3, sometimes even up to 10 drops. It totally depends on the colors and on the situation. So what I've done here while I'm talking, I've painted this in with Fistone Red, and now I will highlight this quickly in Evil Sun Scarlet. And if you don't have those colors, just pick a mid-tone red and a bright tone red of your choice, and then you're good to go. I hope this helps some of you out there to understand the process of learning. Also, your own need is very important in the learning process. For example, if you walk through the forest and you see a tree with a bark ripped off. What does that mean? First, this is nothing really important for you, so you just ignore it. And then a few steps later, you find a footprint of an animal. You don't know what animal it is, but you see a footprint. Okay, it's a larger, big footprint, and well, you still don't know what animal this could be, and so you ignore it. And 10 seconds later, you find a big bear screaming at you. And out of a sudden, you know that the ripped off bark and the footprint are related to this bear. And though, you know that for the rest of your life. Well, if an angry bear is directly in front of you, the rest of your life is maybe 10 seconds. But I think you get the point. So, if something is important to you, and you have the need to learn something, then your mind will learn it extremely quickly. So, you can try to press your mind to learn something, but if you have the need to learn something, then you will learn it. So, for example, if you're watching a movie in a foreign language, and you don't understand it, but you have a basic understanding, and you want to know what is happening in this movie, then you have a basic need to fulfill, and your brain will automatically learn. And that is simply the process. So, yeah, we have some minor details here to fill. For example, here this little hair, I can simply dry brush that quickly with some of the gray. There we go. Okay, this little thing, I think I will paint that as a warpstone. And for that we need a dark green. Where do we have one? There we go. Caliban green. So, just like that. I want to have some little bits of green here and there in the miniature, because green is the complementary color of red, and well, if you have here and there a little bit green, for example, I have also painted here the eyes of this demon dog in green, it will increase the intensity of the red. So now I will highlight this green with some mood green. First I make a 50-50 mix. And also a little bit of the pure on the palette. So, whoop, like that. Ta-da. And then I will take the pure for the final highlight. It's the final highlight. So, and also I will quickly water down the mood green, and I will paint in. I'll take a better brush now. The eye sockets of him. That's a little bit too less color, so I need some more. So just like that. There we have nice glowing green eyes. Okay. So, last thing to do is the base. So, I will stop this recording and be right back. So, there I'm back. We still have some of the gray here on the palette left. Oh, oops, that was red I didn't want. But it doesn't matter. So, I simply take that color and we will quickly brush over the base with it. So from the previous base we have here this line. We will cover that up with some grass tufts, or you could simply go over it with white glue again and add another layer of sand and color it. It's totally up to you, whichever you prefer. So that even more with some screaming skull. Don't repaint everything, just make it here and there, so to leave a little bit of the old dry brush behind, like always, so you get a nice transition of the colors and then a more three-dimensional look. Okay, I think that looks fine. Now we'll take some pure Screaming Skull for the last bits here and there. And we're done. So, nice. Let's remove that. Then we will take our grass tufts. So, let's quickly grab that. So we have some options what to do. We have obviously here our grass tufts. Then we could add some moss flock, like that here, or normal static grass. So overall, there are some variants that you can take. Let's first pick up a grass tuft that we want. We want to hide this line here, so I would say we take a rather big one of the grass tufts, like this little fella here, and then maybe one smaller one, maybe this one here. Come here. So then we take our white glue and tweezers. Just add the white glue. And then simply with the tweezers we'll set this grass tuft in place. It doesn't sit well. Okay. So, and then maybe one here in the back. Okay. It takes a while until the white glue sets, so don't worry. So, and we will use some of this stuff also. So we will apply a bigger chunk here. And what we will do then, sprinkle some of that stuff on, slightly pressing it on, and then dabbing it off. And ta-da! We have a nice mossy area. just like that. So, and I think for the base that's enough. So let's close that up. And to finish things off, don't forget to clean out your brush, otherwise you have a brush to throw away. Okie dokie. And then we will paint the edge of the base. So go around with your finger to remove any dust and hairs that might be stuck on there. And for the edge itself, I use Rhinox Hide, but you can also use black, Mournfang brown, greens, grays, whatever you want. It depends on your army, what your army base edge work looks like. So, just simply going around, round and around, around. So, and I must say, this here was one of the longest tutorials I've ever made. Yeah, that's for character models. It takes quite a long time. But overall, I'm pleased with the result. So, until your next video, your Alexandra.